In response to the last video that I uploaded, I'm the Only One was the title of that video. Someone asked or shared, I know that I am infinite, but I don't feel like I live my day-to-day life from that knowing. I live my day-to-day life like a regular human being. I don't really live from the awareness that I am infinite, eternal, limitless, etc. And there's a few quick things I want to share about that. One is, I don't think we have to worry about that. I think everyone that's on an awakening path will eventually move into that space of just really deep conviction about who they are. That's what we chose to come play with. And I think we don't have to worry too much about how do I do that? How do I stay more awakened? I think it'll just naturally happen because we all have a natural curiosity about that, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing that I want to share about that is that deep inner knowing that you're infinite, eternal, indestructible, not at all a human body, can come about in so many different ways. For me, and I can only share from my own personal experience. For me, it was a deep curiosity, like a really almost insatiable curiosity. Like, what is it like to live from that knowing that you are infinite, that you are eternal, right? So I had a natural deep curiosity about that. And because I had a natural deep curiosity about that, I started thinking about it more quite naturally. And a belief is a thought you keep thinking. So for me, the conviction and the deeply rooted belief that I am infinite, I'm not a body, came from putting that particular thought on repeat, really, quite naturally, you know? It was an awareness that I want that to be the number one experience that I want to have. I want to live from the knowing that I'm infinite, that I'm eternal, that I'm limitless. I want to live from that. And so I would spend so much time just deeply contemplating that, especially when I went for a walk or when I'm just sitting out in nature. I would be literally in my mind mulling over, so I'm infinite, so I'm not this body. If I'm infinite, then this life that I'm living is actually incredibly temporary, because this life will be over and then I'll be on to whatever else is next in my infinite journey. And I'd be deeply contemplating these things and just really feeling what it's like to be one with Source. What is it like to be, like, I would literally in my mind, in stillness and silence, be deeply contemplating, well, what is it like to be one with Source? If I'm truly one with that which hung the planets in orbit, then there isn't anything that I don't have access to. And if there isn't anything I don't have access to, then what am I worried about? You know, like, I would really be deeply contemplating these things on a daily basis. I will also add that I deeply contemplate those things on a daily basis now. It's just a natural curiosity for me. It's a natural place that I enjoy sitting in, you know? Like, during the day, as you all know, I use the Triple Flame app for a variety of different reasons now. But when I use the Triple Flame app and it goes off, there's as soon as the Triple Flame app goes off, it's like, I am none of this. I am none of this. Everything that I'm doing with my life, I'm actually none of those things. Those are just stories playing out in the virtual reality. And that's another deep contemplation of mine, is that this life that we think is so real is not real. And as you all know, in the initial stages of my spiritual awakening, I had an obsession with near-death experiences. And so it's very easy for me to remember what a lot of people shared when they died and they realized, oh, none of this is really real, and everything that was a big deal was like nothing to be concerned about. And so all of that programming from listening to all of those near-death experiences come back to me often. And so there's this awareness. My spaghetti is boiling now. I gotta go check out my spaghetti. All of that is just reminding me that none of this is real. And so that's another deep contemplation I have. So if this is just a simulation, if this is just a hologram that is essentially controlled by my predominant thoughts and beliefs, then I really don't have anything to worry about. I just shift my predominant thoughts and beliefs, and things shift in the simulations. Things shift in this virtual reality that I'm living in, And I go to those thoughts often, and that is what caused my awareness to be deepened, my conviction to be deepened, because that's where my thoughts are a lot of the time. And a belief, if you want to have a deeper belief about something, it's a thought you keep thinking. When you believe that you're limited, when you believe that you're gonna run out of money, when you believe that you're not safe, that's just thoughts you keep thinking, so it became a belief. So if you want a different thing to become a belief, you think those thoughts and they become naturally a belief. So my amped up conviction that I'm the only one creating my reality, and that I am infinite, and that I am eternal, and and this is a virtual reality, and it's a hologram, and it's a simulation, and it's not really that real. And all of those beliefs that are profoundly deepened for me came from really deeply contemplating them over and over and over. Anything that you think over and over and over naturally becomes a belief within you, a deeply held belief within you. It can be a deeply held belief about lack, and it could be a deeply held belief about abundance. It also doesn't mean that I never have fear or I never have doubt. That is not true. Doubt comes up for me from time to time. Fear comes up for me from time to time. But I have a place that I go to, which is that deep contemplation that is active all the time, every single day. So because that's active for me every single day, I can go there. That's my resource. That's my go-to. That's where I go. Those thoughts, those deep contemplations is where I go when doubt comes up. It's where I go when fear comes up. And when I go there, I reactivate my deep belief that I am infinite, I am eternal. This is a simulation just controlled by my predominant thoughts and beliefs. It's not real. It's not that serious. All of those things get reactivated because I have a go-to place, which is my deep contemplation about all of those things, my deep conviction about all of those things. Okay, I went and ate my spaghetti, and now I'm back with something else that I wanted to add to this video. This may sound very different than what I have shared in the past, because I'm constantly evolving. My perspectives are constantly expanding. So that's very good to note. If you're watching a video from 2 or 3 years ago, even 2 or 3 months ago, I'm probably in a different place. And my experiences have expanded my perspective, deepened my perspective, shifted and changed my perspective. That's always possible, right? So what I wanted to share is this. That place that I go to, that, my resource is remembering who I am. That's my go-to resource, is remembering who I am, right? However, when fear comes up and doubt comes up, I don't go to that resource to conquer the doubt. I don't go to that resource to get rid of the fear. I don't go to that resource to fix my situation. I don't go to that resource to heal myself. I don't go to that resource to get more money, right? So all of these, and yes, I know that I have videos out there that do inspire people into process in order to address their life circumstance. I'm aware of that. I'm sharing with you that I'm shifting my perspective, okay? Not completely away from that, but refining what I believe to be true. And here it is. if we go to the resource, whether it is a process, a practice, remembering who we are, whatever it is, if we're going there to try to fix a situation, it often backfires because we're always thinking about the thing that's not fixed yet. So here's where I've shifted. I go there because it's where I belong. Somebody need to hear me on this. Let me repeat that. When I go to this place, this resource, this reminder of who I am, this deepening of who I am, this reminder of my conviction around who I am, when I go there, the reason I go there is it's where I belong. Peace is where I belong. Well-being is where I belong. Conviction about who I am is where I belong. And when I remember where I belong, when I remember who I am, 3D life circumstances takes care of itself. So I don't have to go there in order to fix the circumstance, because when I go there, my energy naturally shifts. My beliefs naturally shift. My awareness naturally expands. My frequency shifts. My focus changes. And that's where I belong. I belong in the conviction around who I am. I belong in the peace. I belong in the conviction around my worthiness. I belong in the conviction around my innate abundance. That's where I belong. And when I go to where I belong, hear me on this, guys. When I go to where I belong, peace, love, tranquility, worthiness, sense of well-being. When I go to where I belong, oh, guys, hear me out. Life takes care of itself. I get out of the way by going to where I belong. And when I get out of the way, I don't have to think about the life circumstance anymore, because I'm back to where I belong. And when I'm back to where I belong, 3D life circumstances and the hologram and the simulation, it just takes care of itself, because I'm back to who I truly am. I had to add that, because all of these processes and things we're putting on repeat and news stories and all of these things, they're cool, they're great, they work, okay, they work. And we can come into this more expanded place of being where we shift our vibration, because a vibration of well-being, peace, confidence is where we belong. It is who we are. And when we come back to who we are, people, when we come back, I'm feeling the frequency of just the returning to who I am and what I feel like when I'm there. When we come back to who we are, life takes care of itself. We don't even have to think about the broken relationship it mends itself. We don't even have to think about what's going on in our bodies. Our cells are smart enough. They're intelligent enough to correct within our bodies. It's just natural when we're back to who we are. When we're back to who we are, finances flow, money just flows. When we're back to who we are in that state of well-being. So life just reflects. When we are back to who we are, we're getting out of the way and allowing the universe to do its thing. So we don't have to think so hard about the illness that we need to be, that we want to, be healed from. We don't have to think so hard about the bill that needs to be paid. We don't have to think so hard about the relationship that needs to come into harmony. Because when we feel harmony, when we come back to who we are, when we remember who we are, when we're in that frequency, when we've come home to the truth of who we are, Life has a way of taking care of itself. Remember that. Remember that. Remember that.